Oh, yeah.
He don't want to take that out of there right now.
Well, he's here, he has a home in Northport, so he's here for the summer, you know. So he's got to give something reason for him, you know, to write off the trip. Actually,
Well, it'll be fine if he can find somebody to pay for everything.
Did we scare off our administrator?
No, he was upstairs dealing with
The other half isn't doing so good.
Jamel.
All right, well, it is 6 o'clock. Michael, are you about ready? Are you about ready?
It's happening.
Okay.
I think so. More or less. I'm all like, I'm awake and I'm here.
Madam Chairman.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is 6 o'clock. I will call the Wednesday, August 6th Public Health and Safety meeting to order. And could we all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jackie, if you would call the roll, please.
Commissioner Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Thomas?
Yep.
Rennie? Here. Lemkool?
yes.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Inman?
Here.
Chairman Max Bauer?
Here. At this time, I would entertain a motion for approval of the June 4th
Madam
minutes.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the June 4th, 2014 session of Public Health and Safety.
Moved by Commissioner Inman, supported by Dr. Lathrop. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. This is our opportunity for first public comment. Jackie, if you would read the rules, please.
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners, which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4 Order of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized, and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson.
All right, at this time, is there anyone who wishes to make public comment? Georgia Durga, please come forward and state your name and address.
Georgia Durga, Director, Grand Traverse County Commission on Aging. You need my address too? 6345 Lyndhurst Drive, Traverse City, Michigan. I just want to make a quick comment. Today was the 20th Annual Art Bauer Memorial Celebrity Shuffleboard Tournament, put on by the Traverse City Senior Center or the Senior Center Network. I don't know if I can. It's a really long line. And this was the 20th year for their tournament. The courts are the oldest in Michigan, and some have seen better times, but some were really good. I happened to be on one of the better tournaments, or one of the better courts, but I'm not sure who the winner was. Peg Yankoff was the winner. They also sponsor the event, and our esteemed sheriff was there also. And so I just want to let you know there was 50 people there. It was a big crowd. It was beautiful weather, and Lori did a fantastic job and her crew. So I just want to let you know next year, if you're interested in participating, I'm sure she would look for added participants.
Commissioner Max Bauer came in at what, second?
No, I did not, the tournament was today.
Oh, the tournament was today.
And I was napping this afternoon.
You were napping.
But I am a past champion.
You're a past champion.
As is Georgia Durga past, and we have our trophies.
Okay.
And I have to tell you, it's great fun. It really is great fun. Okay, next we have approval of the agenda. Our administrator would like to add some items.
I believe, I'm not sure whether we're going to request to put this under receive and file or under approval. I'm probably under receive and file. This MOU for the Boardman River Dams project with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, I sent it to all the board members a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to get action. Chris Kramer would like to see it in the the board book at the end of the month, so I'm just
Okay.
asking you to put it on the agenda.
All right.
Second thing is, we have a 911 funding request. We have one opportunity to go to the November ballot. That would be tonight. There are no opportunities beyond tonight.
Wow.
So we want to at least appraise you of what your possibilities are.
Okay, and I have received a request from Commissioner Lemkool, who would like to add under receive and file the Michigan Association of Counties platform document. So I will make the memo of understanding on the Boardman River, item number 4, under receive and file, the MAC platform, item number 5, under receive and file, and I will put the 911 funding request under new business as number 1. Mr. Benda, do we have a closed session this evening?
Yes, we would like a closed session this evening
Okay, we also have a
to
closed session.
discuss labor negotiations.
With those agenda items, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the agenda
Moved by
as
Commissioner,
amended.
moved by Commissioner Lemkool.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Wheelock. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right. We now have approval of the consent calendar. Jackie, it's your turn.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file, or approval is approved by a single committee action adopting the consent calendar. A, receive and file. 1, Commission on Aging report. 2, correspondence from Area Agency on Aging regarding 2015 funding. 3, Community Corrections monthly report. 4, memorandum of understanding in regard to the Boardman River Dam for Army Corps of Engineers. 5, 911 funding request.
Nope.
Funding.
Michigan Association of Counties platform.
All right. Michigan Association's platform.
And Commissioner Lemkool has a hard copy on his desk that he can provide you for the packet.
All right. And then B, approval. 1, Community Corrections renewal application for 2015. 2, Medical Director Services Agreement, the renewal. 3, Kingsley Adolescent Health Clinic lease renewal. 4, accept RAP grant funding for rapid scan body scanner. 5, 2014 Emergency Management Performance Grant Agreement.
All right. Would anyone in the audience like to remove anything from the consent calendar? Seeing no one in the audience, any commissioners?
So I'm going to pull the MAC platforms off from the consent calendar just for discussion purpose.
All righty. And we will make that number 1 under items removed from the consent calendar. With that removal, I would entertain a motion to
Madam
accept the
Chairman, I
consent
would
calendar.
move to approve the consent calendar with the exception of A5.
Is there support?
Second.
Supported by Inman. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same. Motion carries. We have no special orders of business. Item number 1, items removed from the consent calendar. Commissioner Lemkool, you're up.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that we all were given the MAC platforms. I would encourage everybody to read those and to find out for sure if we can support those platforms as our Board of County Commissioners, or if there's any changes. You know, Chris, you sit on Health and Safety? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if anybody else sits on any of the other
No,
committees.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just think this is an important piece that is going to be
momentary
telling our
lapse.
legislators what we'd like to see worked on for the next year. So I just think it's important that we know what's there, have that discussion if we can amongst, at least review them. Larry's been real active with MAC over the years, and they've been doing a lot of good things for our communities and for the state of Michigan. So I encourage you to look at them, and maybe we could write a letter of support for them for the next meeting.
And,
Motion to approve.
okay. Is there support? Supported by Commissioner Thomas. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right. Department and other action items. 9A, resolution to create a criminal justice coordinating committee. I'm assuming that Commissioner Wheelock, you'd like to make this motion.
I would be more than happy to make the motion to approve the Criminal Justice Committee.
Is there support? Supported by Dr. Lathrop. Discussion. We have an and we have a hand raised.
Put the arm
It was,
down it.
and for those in the public that are watching this, it
Us
was a
aging-
late
us-
night last night.
Yeah. It's the lateness of the night. A second that would be,
Yes, okay, Commissioner
this
Inman?
would be would this be the equivalent of the makeup of the one that we had previously done?
You know,
Sonny, is that what your thinking is, or?
I think it's actually a little bit smaller committee than the Blue Ribbon Committee that we had 10 years ago.
Okay.
As I read this, and I didn't find the page right now. But I think it's a smaller committee. If you recall, the Blue Ribbon Jail Committee that we had before was about 20 people, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And this is about half of that.
Okay.
You know, because it specifically talks about a city official, a county official, one member from the public, one district court judge, one circuit court judge, and representative from the sheriff, the administrator. Yeah, anyway, but yeah, it's about 10, 12 people.
Okay.
But I think it's charged basically with the same thing that we did with the Blue Ribbon Jail Committee before, and I think, you know, we can, you know, certainly support that, and we can go back and look at what the Blue Ribbon Jail Committee did before, and that'll help us for guideline.
Okay.
Dr. Lathrop?
Just wondering, some of the people are specifically spelled out, like the sheriff, we only have one sheriff, so it's going to be him. Am I right? Is it the sheriff on there? Okay. Then there's a person, one person from this group that's going to be on it. Who will choose that person?
Well, our process is...
What is the process, yeah?
The process is our M&A. The chairman would, of our M&A, who happens to be Commissioner Inman, would at our M&A ask for volunteers, and then the board would have discussion as to who would be the most appropriate person to put on that committee.
Okay.
All we're doing tonight is agreeing to form the committee.
Okay. Now, I read it over quickly. There are other people that are not named but have to be decided on. Is that a person from the city? Who else is going to be decided on?
Board of Commissioners and a citizen at large.
And a citizen at large. And who will pick a citizen at large?
It'll be a committee that will make that decision.
We will take applications, and then we'll choose, you know, we'll
committee
put
from
out,
this
we'll put
board,
out,
right.
we'll
This
put out a
board makes those
notice,
decisions.
we'll put out a notice that we're seeking individuals to sit on this committee, and we'll see how many people volunteer, and then we'll choose someone to appoint.
All right. Good.
All
then.
right.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right.
All right, any other questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carries. Next, the Commission on Aging, update on the senior center renovation. Here comes our fabulous director.
Lori Wells, Deputy Director for Commission on Aging Senior Center Network, 3262 Hunters Ridge, Traverse City. As promised in the beginning, we wanted to keep this group of people informed and updated about what's going on with the renovation of the structure that we occupy as the Senior Center in Traverse City. And on Friday, we will be meeting with the city manager and the committee of people, body of people who've kind of been looking at raising the money needed to make renovations at the senior center, along with the architect. The architect will have some drawings for us to look at and some cost projections to look at so that we can decide how and when and in what fashion we will move forward to raise the monies. At this point, what we are looking for from the architect was a modest renovation plan to basically keep the same footprint, expanding just a little bit here and there, not major expansions, but a little bit in the entrance and a little bit toward the water. And then looking at our infrastructure, so our plumbing, our electrical, our air conditioning, which we don't have that we need. So infrastructure types of things, and looking at the efficiency of the space. The building was put up in 1930, which Georgia mentioned the tournament today. In 1930, Riley Swears got the city commission to put in a shuffleboard club. And unfortunately, he died in 31, so he didn't enjoy very much time on those courts. And coincidentally, he died 80 years ago yesterday. So 80 years ago today was his funeral, so it's pretty cool that we had the tournament today. But though the building, the posts that are holding up our roof are the posts that were put in 1930, and the cement slab that we walk on is the same slab. And so there's just some infrastructure things that we need to address. And so that's what we asked the architect, to look at the efficiency of the space, how could we better use the current space to meet our needs, and do it in such a way that we don't have to raise millions and millions of dollars to make that happen. So Friday, we'll be meeting with the architect and with the city manager. Georgia Durga and I met with Dave Benda a week or so ago, and he advised us that as the Commission on Aging, we are tenants of that building, so it's up to the city to build what they want to build there, do what they want to do with it. And so that's how we're proceeding, is working through the city's process to make that happen. So we need to get these plans approved through the city commission. I'll keep you abreast of every step along the way. But I'm hoping that after Friday, we are out of the gates and moving forward quickly. Yes, sir.
Will you have to close the facility down?
Most likely, yes. And so once we get a better idea of a timeline, then I'll get more aggressive about figuring out where we're going to relocate. But we do have satellite centers now in Acme, Fife Lake, Interlochen, and Kingsley, so we'll make better, more use of those spaces. We'll be looking for local churches. Depending on the time of year, we may be able to do something with schools. Some of the retirement communities in town, I'm sure, would take on a card group or two for us. So some things may have to just take a rest for a while we regroup, and it just depends on the time of year. If it's summer, it would be great because a lot of our stuff is outside and away and would work well, but we'll have to kind of wait and see what the time of year is, but I'm sure we'll have to shut down. So if you have an extra room or something, let us know. We'll bring the Bridge Club over. So we'll keep you abreast of that.
It should be noted, Lori, that this renovation is not going to be done with public dollars.
That's right. It'll be all
Unless the
campaign.
city decides that they'd like to.
Yeah, that's true. I don't see that as quite likely. But yeah, we have a group of people who are interested in helping us raise the money necessary to get the job done. Right now, we have a little over $200,000 set aside with the city specifically for the building. So that's the money that we were able to use to hire an architect, and that we'll use for other things that are needed pre-construction. But we definitely will be using private funds to build it, or renovate it, or whatever we call it.
Anyone have any questions for Lori? Thank you. All right, thank you very much, Lori.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
And thank you, Georgia. All right, Wendy, Northwest Michigan Water Safety Network presentation.
Wendy Truitt, Health Officer, Grand Traverse County Health Department. I'm here tonight just to give you a formal presentation on our efforts to address kind of water safety in our community. I did hand out a brochure that you all have that has water safety tips in it. It also has our Facebook page. I encourage you all to go out and like the page and look at some of the tips included. So in order to kind of get you up to speed on where we are now, I have to start at where we started. Beginning in the late summer of 2013, a community alliance called the Grand Traverse County Water Safety Task Force joined together to assess the overall health and safety of Grand Traverse area's public beaches. The task force formed in part in response to multiple drownings that occurred in Lake Michigan, as well as some of our area inland lakes between 2011 and 2013. Task force included representatives from the Grand Traverse County Health Department, Munson Healthcare Safe Kids North Shore, Grand Traverse County Parks and Rec, the Watershed Center of Grand Traverse Bay, and the U.S. Coast Guard. Collaboratively, the task force members evaluated multiple areas relating to water risks and hazard. We reviewed the best practices of other coastal area water safety programs, including Marquette, Michigan's Water Safety Task Force, the Kauai Rescue Stations out of Hawaii, Great Lakes Surf and Rescue Project, and Life Saving Victoria. We also assessed the beaches in terms of hazards and decided upon several focus areas and strategies. So the three primary focus areas that we decided on were water safety outreach, water quality and beach safety assessment equipment and signage, and water safety classes. We also knew that if we were going to get multiple agencies together, we had to come up with a generic brand, something that said a water safety message that wasn't just something filled with a whole bunch of logos that doesn't have any meaning. And we wanted it to be something that was catchy and that would, you'd start to see it as our efforts increased. So we developed the Play It Safe on the Water branding. We identified several seasonal public health education messages, and we also recognized the need that we would need to expand the membership to include broader representation from all who were interested and all who were already engaging in water safety efforts in our region. Our overall objectives for the region are to educate the community on specific beach hazards. For example, what are the water conditions? Are there rip currents? What's the water temperature? The depth, if there's any slopes. Facilitating water safety classes, media campaigns, outreach activities, and beach signage to increase overall water safety knowledge. Promoting our beach bacteria monitoring results and improving awareness through education of stormwater impacts to the beaches. Implementing risk communication campaigns specifically targeted at the highest risk groups, and providing beach safety signage and other safety rescue tools to assist with rescues. Engaging a regional water safety network to build community resilience to some of these serious public health risks and threats from Lake Michigan is really important. We wanted to leverage the existing work of 3 well-established groups who had already been working together, and that's the Grand Traverse Water Safety Task Force, that was this group that we started, the Beach Monitoring Stakeholder Group, which has been in place for about 8 years and has multiple representation from municipalities and health departments in our region, as well as our local emergency planning team. We knew we needed to do a collective impact approach in order to ensure that the beaches, the coastal water, and the people who were utilizing them were safe and reduce the number of drownings, injuries, and waterborne illnesses. And the collective impact approach, there's 5 areas. One is a common agenda. So for us, it would be water safety, a shared measurement, mutually reinforcing activities, continuous communication, and a backbone organization, which in this case is Grand Traverse County. I'm showing a list of all the, I'm not going to read them, but a list of the network membership. There's about 35 members right now with multiple organizations. In order to create lasting solutions to social problems like this on a large scale, you have to include government, civil groups, business sector, in this case, the hotel and motel group. A lot of those motels occupy a lot of the beach waterfront, so they need to be engaged in some of the water safety activities as well. And you need to coordinate the efforts in order to work together to achieve a clearly defined goal. When we had our first meeting as a water safety network, and that's the expanded from the task force to this network, we asked all the entities to report on what kinds of activities they were either currently doing or planning to do to get a gauge on where we were at with the whole collective impact. And so this is a list of all the different initiatives that are currently in place or in the works. And that's weather reporting, including the water temps and conditions. You may have noticed that some of the TV stations are now being more proactive about reporting that. Mm-hmm. We're also working on trying to get them to maybe include the temperature when they do like the Fish and Game report or in the weather. So Mark Watkins has been doing it. 7 and 4 for sure, but I have seen more in the news. There's the public beach safety and beach monitoring that is happening every week. Recreational water safety, we have representatives who are trying to focus on in just increasing the use of life vests when people are out there doing the activities. Looking at beach and hotel pool utilization, having the hotel group at the table is actually very interesting. They have a lot of really good outside-of-the-box ideas, including utilizing the pools in the non-tourist months for additional lessons. Fundraising for some of the safety equipment and advocacy. In general, our emergency preparedness and the rescue responses that happen from all the law enforcement agencies in the area. Boating safety and risk watch that happens in the TCAPS elementary schools. There's personal flotation device fittings and distributions at a lot of the summer events. There's just one, I believe, today at the fair. There was safety helmets, but they did talk a lot about water safety as well. Public and community awareness, recruitment of additional water safety instructors and lifeguards. That's an area that we need more. The Marine Patrol on the bays and the inland lakes. Fire and life safety. Metro Fire has a safety and outreach coordinator who focuses on a lot of different types of safety, and water safety is one of them. installing the rescue stations and water safety signage. Red Cross is now offering kind of on-the-fly open water safety classes at the beach. They go down, they find a group of people, and they start instructing on different water safety things. TCAPS is working on a lot last year. They worked with Parks and Recs, and they got all the ninth graders through for a water safety class. Now they're working with the YMCA when it opens to get all third graders through swimming classes. And they're also working on some enhanced curriculums that they would put in place, say every Memorial Day. They'd engage all the levels. They'd give them classroom water safety so that before they leave for summer break, they're thinking about water safety messages. There's hypothermia classes in education through the Risk Watch group. There's land and water survival education. There's some experts who can come to the area and provide that. Swimming lessons to the public, and overall organizing some of these water safety sessions with the public. So the short-term goals are intervention, awareness, and education. And I brought a prop tonight to show you. We had received and wrote successfully for a 2% grant from the tribe to continue our beach monitoring this year. And so, in case you've not seen it, these are the signs that are already on all the beaches and have been for 8 years. It's the general water safety. It talks about how we test once a week between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And then if there are advisories, there was 4 advisories a couple weeks ago, then we add the different level of warning, whether it's level 2, which means waist up contact, or level 3 or 4, which means you can't go in the water. So that was one of the things that the 2% funding continued for this year. And then also we got some additional money for water safety. Initially we had written for a larger grant to another organization and hoped to have a real big, lots and lots of things, but we didn't get it. We rated very high, but it was a highly competitive research grant, so we will continue for that. But with the funding that we had left, we decided we needed to kind of refocus and what was the most important. And the rescue stations, the signs would be great, but if you don't have the rescue equipment, what's the point? So this is an example of one of 39 rescue stations that will be installed in Grand Traverse, Leelanau, and Benzie County. Here's a tentative list of the beaches. It's not set in stone. It's probably about 98% accurate, but there may be some changes depending on feedback from the municipalities and townships. So there'll be 24 in Grand Traverse County, and there'll be 12 in Leelanau County and 3 in Benzie County at this point in time. So it has a safety ring, a throw rope. This has been cut down. It'll actually be a 10-foot treated that'll be sunk 4 feet into the beaches. The municipalities and townships we're working with them to get them to install. And there will also be a sign, which is still in the design process and should be here shortly, but it'll come out about here, a little bit shorter. It'll be 2-sided. The side that you see in the summer months and the warmer months will have instructions on how to use the equipment and what to do, and also kind of some graphics on rip currents. And the back side that they can flip during the colder months will have ice and cold water safety tips. So we went with, it's the basics, but we initially had written in this grant to get 12 and have it be a little more elaborate, but we thought it was most important that we get as many of the rescue stations out there as possible. So more of the short-term goals under awareness are getting the enhanced signage. So in addition to what I showed you, signs that would indicate the risks specific to that beach. And we did Tom Buss from Environmental Health did do assessments on the beaches, so we could include those on signage. Rat cards at hotels, motels that list water safety tips, as well as some of the recreational outdoor places. Prescription pads, that's what I showed you a picture of here. We're working with area pediatricians so that when parents bring their 3 or 4-year-old in for a well child check, they're given a kind of a token prescription for swim lessons, and on the back it lists all the available options for swim lessons. And some places are offering a discount if they bring that in. We're working on an enhanced website that would have a QRS code that'll be on the sign that would link to beach-specific information. And hopefully at some point when we start to get donations, we can get electronic donations outside of just checks, public service announcements, and then having a good presentation at health fairs. Jen Ritter from Safe Kids North Shore already has a water safety wheel. She was at the fair today, and she said she saw about 300 kids come through who spun the wheel and looked at the different water safety tips and heard the message. Also education, there's all kinds of swimming and water safety options for lessons, lifeguard training. The Red Cross is offering scholarships, trying to get more people with the lifeguard training, even if they don't become lifeguards, at least get that level of training. The beachside classes from the Red Cross, and then some TV and radio shots. So 2 times this year I've been on WTCM. Metro Fire, I believe, purchases monthly safety time. It's 30 minutes. And Meredith Hawes is their outreach coordinator, and she's part of the Water Safety Network. And so we went on in May, and we talked about the cold water challenge that was going around on Facebook, and talked about cold water and dressing for the water temperature, not the air temperature, because it's greatly different. And that's one of the Coast Guard messages. And then in July, we were back on, and we focused on, that was the day we actually had the results after the 4 beaches were on an elevated risk. We actually got the results and could announce live that beaches were safe to swim again, which was good. And then the host kind of went through all the different tips, all 10 tips. And so we were able to kind of banter back and forth and kind of chime in on some of these. So that was really good exposure for the group as well. The long-term goals are continuing the awareness and education, reducing the number of rescues and drownings, having our northern Michigan beaches lined with water safety equipment and consistent signage so people know what to do, having good quality water and healthy beaches, and then having the media engage with some campaigns and a comprehensive website that would link to beach-specific information. We also need to work on securing some additional funding. We're planning to do a gift request to Munson Medical Center, and they've already donated the time and effort and the cost of printing 10,000 brochures. Plan to go to some of our local charities like Rotary and seek assistance. We want to offer the motels a challenge so that this is about $170, and when you add the sign, we are guessing it's going to be between $200 and $220. So we want to challenge all the hotels to install at least one of these rescue stations. Vicki Cooper, who couldn't be here tonight but really wanted to be, she's a new grandparent today. Her daughter had a baby. But she's really leading up the charge on the fundraising. She's a volunteer for the Red Cross and also lost her son in 2010 at Twin Lakes, and she's part of this group and very active and a great cheerleader, especially for the rescue stations. We would like to get businesses to sponsor the stations or even groups of people, and we can also add a little plaque in the middle if they decide they want to pay for the entire cost. Writing from some additional grants and then going after 2015 a 2% grant here as well. So that's all I have for a formal presentation. Do you have any questions or?
Do we have any questions for Wendy? I just have a comment, Wendy, and I want to say thank you so much for doing this. I just can't think of a better gift to Grand Traverse County than those life-saving stations. Approximately 70% of the people in Grand Traverse County cannot swim. It's an extraordinarily high number, and I just think what you're doing is fabulous, and thank you very much for it. Anyone else? Commissioner Lemkool.
Yeah, one of the things I don't see on there on your list is any of the boating companies that sell boats. And I think that they need to be part of this. And, some of them have resources for funding for some of the grants that you might be able to get. Okay. And I think that would be a great thing. And the other thing I just wanted to say on life-saving, the Boy Scouts do a phenomenal job with their life-saving merit badge. And they teach a lot of boys life-saving right through the camp and through that. And so, I encourage anybody to take that life-saving merit badge, because for me, it was very informative when I was a young kid, and I still remember a lot of things that we did back then, and I'm sure they've changed some things, but it was very rewarding, very informational.
We don't do back pressure arm lifting.
You don't do that anymore? Well, I'm sure.
Watercraft rental.
But I'll tell you what, when I had to go out and rescue Pete LaCourse, and I was this little kid, you know. It was interesting
Boards.
when the kids have to do that.
All those
Board
boards.
rentals. Yeah,
Any watercraft rental,
yeah, we do have.
pontoons.
We do have one group represented from
Okay.
the recreational, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't be a bad idea to get a few more because they're separate and not all of them require users to use life jackets, which is really important. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things that the Coast Guard has said,
They're
that
well hid.
a lot of their rescues are people who are pushing the limits too far on kayaks and canoes and paddleboards and
Stand-up paddle boards are, I see a lot of little kids
Oh,
out on
boy.
stand-up
And
paddle
no
boards.
life
jackets.
jackets. Life
Drives me
jackets.
crazy.
It's like,
And cold water. That's
Ice
what
cold
people
water.
don't understand, is
Yeah.
the water is not warm. It might be 80 degrees outside,
Lake
but
turned
the
over this
water's
past-
cold.
Yeah, the other night, the water in Grand Traverse Bay where we were fishing was 38 degrees.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah. Wow. Turned over.
yeah, and I think what
Ice.
people don't
Ice
they
ball.
think they can tough it out in the cold water, they think it, but it's
Until you've been in it,
It's
you-
involuntary response from your body that you can't control. And
Yeah.
like Coast Guard people, they go through training and learn how to control some of those things, but a lot of it you have no. doesn't
Well,
matter
thank
how-
you very much for what you're doing. I really appreciate it.
good job.
All right.
Excellent.
Next, county building lockdown policy.
Good evening, everyone. Greg Bird, Emergency Management Coordinator. Way back, well, not way back, but over a year and a half ago when I was hired, one of the major issues during the interview process and after being hiring was there wasn't a way for county buildings to be locked down or county employees to be notified of a hazard. Specifically, at that time, the example was the escaped prisoner in the summer of 2012 that affected this building, and no one here knew about it. And subsequently, last winter, there was also a time that we had to attempt to notify every single county employee that we were closing the county earlier. So with a lot of work and background, working with Mr. Benda and Jen Seaman, as well as the department heads, we've came up with a draft county building lockdown policy, asking for your approval. We kept it very, very simple, short, simple, to the point, because we're going to have to train all the county employees. And we also kept it identically consistent to the schools, or what the schools use. So if we do have cross employees, or if we have parents that have children in school, which we do, they're going to hear two simple terms, either precautionary lockdown or emergency lockdown. And it's basic. Precautionary is that there's a threat around a building, and you just need to secure the building, and you can maintain business as normal. Emergency lockdown means that there is somebody in the building causing an emergency at that time. And we outlined some very simple action steps to take. We outlined some responsibilities, and this fits very handily and very easily in with our Code Red system. We've worked with IT department, and we have every single extension, hardwired extension in the county, segregated by building location, as well as all and any county-issued cell phones, again, ranked by building locations. And we have groups set up by building, that it's simply making a pre-recorded message for a precautionary lockdown or an emergency lockdown. And if there's something that affects here, you go into the website, hit Boardman, hit precautionary, hit send, and the message goes. And that'll put things into action, as well as it does not supersede or delay 911 dispatching, first responders, law enforcement. That's priority number one. But it has that extra level of notifying our employees. And subsequently, if we have to notify all county employees, there's a county all group. So we have to close again, have a pre-cam message, the county's closing due to snow, whatever it is, hit county all, call goes. And instantaneously we're able to see who it notified and who it didn't. So that those that didn't get notified, we can spend extra diligence in getting a hold of. Or if it's a violent act, then dispatch or myself can forward that to responding law enforcement agencies and say, hey, GIS department did not receive that message or did not respond appropriately. Can you make sure that they're okay? So, and moving forward, now that we have the list built, one of the things we created was a simple sign-up form, because we do have county employees that don't have a county-issued cell phone or simply forward that to their personal cell phone. Moving forward, any employee that's hired will have the ability to opt in with their personal cell phone. And this will be distributed to all existing employees too, that if they don't use their county cell phone or they want to receive it via another method other than their county-issued thing, it's strictly voluntary because we can't make them give up their personal information. So that's basically the nuts and bolts of it. It's a simple policy. It was blessed and received by the department heads back in March. And then we ran through an exercise at the health department with all health department staff. And they found it very easy to follow and liked it. So,
All right, Commissioner Thomas.
Motion to approve the lockdown
Support.
policy.
Supported by Commissioner Lemkool. Discussion?
I might recommend that you also add your county commissioners on that, so they'd be alerted as to what's happening.
you'll get the notification for any and all. You're in the all group, as well as building facilities, as well as myself, and as well as like law enforcement.
Perfect.
So,
All right.
Because you're going to have 4 brand-new county commissioners that you're going to have to deal with.
All
Absolutely.
those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. We have no unfinished business. We have one item under new business, 911 funding request.
Pass that out. Let me start out by apologizing for the last-minute nature of this item. Before I left for vacation last week, I had this to be on this agenda, but the information didn't get put together, and when I went downstairs to talk to Jackie and Lana, because Bonnie wasn't there, we looked at the clerk's book on when things had to be done, and it looked like July 29th we should have had this done, that was the final deadline, and that we were going to miss it. But when I got back on Tuesday, yesterday, someone mentioned to me that maybe it was August 12th, so I verified that and found out, yes, August 12th is our drop-dead deadline, and since you still have the opportunity to do nothing tonight, but I didn't want to miss that opportunity if we could touch that base, because we've been talking about alternate 911 funding for as long as I've been here.
Long as I've been here.
Yeah, and there's 2 methods. One is a millage and one is a surcharge. We are currently, this is a simple one-page summary. In 2014, we have a $668,178 operational subsidy and almost no, if not any, equipment funded for 2014. And Jamel has identified $1,655,976 in capital needs that have accumulated over the last decades. It just has not been, to rely on the general fund to take care of 911 has not been working. So I had, we today put together quite a bit of information for you. On the second page, surcharge projections and millage projections, if we were to go with the surcharge to try and cover the capital and the operating cost in total, we estimate that it would take about $1.85, which is about in the middle of the surcharge projections. Right now, we're authorized to the 80 cents, which is at the top. It's 80 cents. It generates $872,000 in revenue, leaving us with $688,000 the general fund has to pay for. If we were to go to $1.85, it would generate $2 million, and our operational funding would be fully funded, and we would have another $450,000 to go toward that capital that has never been funded. And there are a number of items. We've got a whole laundry list of items that makes up that $1.6 million.
We don't get to make that decision. MPSC has to approve that surcharge increase.
Or the voters can. And that's why it would need to go on the ballot to be approved. MPSC has rejected it. we asked them to increase the surcharge, and they rejected it. We went to court with them. We went to the Court of Appeals with them. We went back to court with them, and they still wouldn't let us increase it, even though the Court of Appeals said it should be increased. I mean, obviously, we need the funding. Otherwise, and right now, our alternative is general fund or don't do it, and we have not been doing it. We cannot afford to fund 911 properly out of the county general fund. We've been trying, but back in the day, when they implemented enhanced 911 in Grand Traverse County, the county apparently had a lot of money and just did it without asking the voters to approve it and pay for it. So the county general fund's been paying for it all along, and this is the opportunity that you'll have, other than a special election, for the next 2 years. This is the only opportunity you'll have to put it on the ballot. Millage projection, we estimate it would take about 0.5 mills to generate about the same amount of money, $439,000 for capital. We must also add that the current $1,560,905 that is the operating budget for 911 is pretty thin in the staffing department. She has lots of turnover, and she almost never has enough people on staff. So, we think that these numbers are the reasonable numbers. About the $450,000 number is the amount in addition to the operating cost that we would need to go forward for a 6-year period. And there's 2 sample resolutions for you. If you wish to adopt those, they would need immediate effect, so we can make the August 12th deadline to put it on the ballot.
Jamal and Dave, I'm extraordinarily reluctant to move forward with this tonight. There are several reasons, and this is just me personally. We don't have, all we're saying to the public is we need money. We're not telling the public what exactly they're purchasing, what they're getting for their money.
Well, they're getting the facilities, the equipment, the maintenance, and the operating costs of the enhanced 911 public safety telecommunication system.
And Chris,
That's what they're getting.
there is a lot of information that is available and would be available and put out to the public regarding what the money pays for. I have lists of equipment that we need and the cost of that equipment, and it can be broken down ad nauseum. So the information is available, it's there.
Okay, Commissioner Inman, you had your hand raised.
Yes, well, I share your immediate concern about public notice, and just by virtue of having this on the agenda, to me, is not enough. But are you telling me that today is the last day the board would have to adopt it as, or could this be approved and then go to the end of the month and still get on the ballot?
August 12th.
August
is the last date to have local ballot questions
August 12th.
into the clerk.
So if we tentatively, if we made a motion to have, my preference if we're going to do this is, my preference is to have a surcharge and not a millage because it's a user fee. And my preference is to hold a public hearing on, if we're going to move forward to consider this, on the 12th of August. We'll hold a special meeting of the Board of Commissioners, and that way we will at least give the public notice of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days.
It would have to be in the morning.
And then handle it as a special board meeting on the 12th. That's the only way you're going to get a vote out of me today.
Yeah, I think by law you have until 4 p.m., August 12th, to get this certified by the
So
clerk.
you'd have to do it on Monday.
We could do it Monday.
Monday's fine. I want some notice.
This is a last minute.
I know.
Let me, I share his
agree.
angst.
Yeah.
I don't like it any more than you do. But it is our last opportunity. We can let it pass and wait 2 years, or maybe if there's a special election next year, we could dovetail with that. I doubt that anyone's going to have the desire to put it on a special election on any of the 4
No.
dates that are allowed during the year.
No, that's too much money.
So it's just an opportunity. We throw it out there. Apologize for the, last-minute nature of it. But it is what it is.
Commissioner Lemko.
I agree. I think it has to be a surcharge, because when you start taxing people, you're not hitting all the people that have telephones.
Right.
Telephones are the way to do it, to be able to do this kind of a thing. I also agree that we need to have some sort of a public comment period, or a time where the public can come in and talk about it. My question is that, when you start breaking this down, is to whether or not, we're already putting $688,000 a year into this thing, and whether or not if we split that we took some money out of general fund, they'll take it all out of general fund to be able to fund this. So I know this is going to help us to balance our budget in the future, but I'm not so sure that we shouldn't say that we're going to continue putting some money out of general fund into this, but I don't know. I don't know how the public's going to perceive that. So,
Well, the
this
vast
is-
majority of counties pay 0 general fund dollars for their 911 systems. They've said, if you want enhanced 911 in your county, you're going to have to pay for it. Grand Traverse County is one of the counties that didn't do that.
Right.
And, so that's, the numbers climbed to 688,000, and we have no capital money in there for them at all.
Well, I
And
think-
so the capital has become very antiquated, and it's getting really bad. And we don't have the money to replace it.
Jamel, you had a conference here not too long ago about sharing 911 emergency areas. Can you bring us up to speed as to where that's at, if we're going anywhere with that, and does that help our budget?
I hope that it will. We've been pursuing that. We still have regular meetings. The first grant process that we went through, we were not awarded any funding. We reapplied for the next round of that grant funding, and we haven't heard back from that. It definitely has a potential to help us with some of these projects and provide us with longer-term savings if we can work with some of our adjoining 911 centers. So we are definitely pursuing that, and we'll continue to do that because it's just the smart thing to do all the way around. Can I give you an exact answer of what that means right now? No.
See, I'd like to be able to have maybe some of that funding thought process brought into what our costs are really going to be. And I don't know if we're able to get that together. If there is some savings for us to be able to do it, could we reduce it down to $1.50 and still be ahead? So I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Well, it's an up-to millage anyway.
Right.
So you don't have
Or-
to charge, yeah, and you don't have to charge at all.
And
Oh, I-
July
Wait,
1st, you make a
it would be
decision on
up
how much
to-
of that, but you have to have
Okay.
authorization to go up to a
Okay.
number.
And that's a common practice for dispatch centers to say up to a certain amount, and then they may collect the full amount until they get some of the capital expenditures taken care of, and then they might back that back down again just for operational. That's pretty common practice.
Dr. Lathrop.
This surcharge, is that per month or?
Yes.
Okay, per month per phone?
$1.10
Correct.
and $1.85. Right now, we're
So that'd be
authorized to
cell
levy
phones?
80.
Cell phone, so if you have a landline, it's 250,
80
you've
cents.
got a cell phone, it's 250.
Well, currently it's 80 cents.
It
80
just went
cents.
from what, 65 to 80?
66 to 80,
66
correct.
to 80. Did you hear anybody holler?
No.
And there are formulas for multi-line businesses, et cetera. I have numerous fact sheets and information that answer those types of questions.
Yeah.
It's not like a business that has, 500
I do-
phones gets,
I do think that if we're going to ask them, we ought to ask them to pay for all of it. I don't think we should be taking it out of our general fund. And just my thought, let's just get this over with. It's up to them.
Correct.
I trust them. And so if we're going to ask for it, my feeling is enough to make it happen.
Make a motion.
Commissioner Wheelock.
I've been involved in this process a long time. We did put millage on the ballot, or surcharge on the ballot one time. Got our tails kicked pretty thoroughly. For a lot of reasons, which, there's no reason to talk about tonight. I think one of the perceptions is that people believe that public safety is a county responsibility, and dispatch is a portion of public safety. So, I think there's, there is that perception that says, this is what the county's supposed to do for us. is provide emergency dispatch. And the question becomes, okay, we fund 911 through the surcharge, what's next? Do you want us to pay for road patrol or marine division or, whatever? So, I think I'm a little hesitant to approve this thing right off tonight. One thing that I do remember, along the way is just because we approve putting this on the ballot in November, we have a lot of time between now and the 5th of November or 8th of November, whatever the date is, to put together information and an educational piece about exactly what people are going to get for with their money.
I think it's a mistake to do it at the 11th hour, and that's what we're
Yeah,
doing.
I'm not saying that you do tonight or whether you don't. I'm just saying that,
It would-
there's a lot of time between now and November to make sure that the public have an opportunity to be properly educated. If we want to hold a public hearing next week and see what we get and give Jamel and David time to put together some information for us, that's fine.
How about Monday at 9 o'clock?
PM or AM?
AM. AM.
Mr. Benda?
Yeah, on the whole public hearing piece, I recall that the last time we put something on the ballot, it was for the road commission. And I don't think we held a public hearing for that. I don't know why you want to make your mountain higher than it already is. You've got to still educate the public on why you need it. This is a, are we going to ask the voters to fund a proper 911 center? Or are we going to continue to try and fund it with county general fund dollars? That's the question before you tonight. And it's a question that you have to make a decision. No decision is a decision tonight, and it's going to stick with you for 2 years. That's what I'm telling you. And I don't like it any better than you do that this is the last minute, dropped on your desk. Really apologize for it, but today is the last day you can make this decision, and it's a 2-year decision.
But it happens every time
Chris?
this way, Dave.
Yeah, I can't talk about every time. I can only talk about this time, and I'm sorry about this time.
I can tell you it happens more than this time.
Could I comment?
Yes,
Please.
Jamel?
Correct.
All right. I also apologize that it is a last-minute decision on your part. None of this information is new to you. You've seen these charts repeatedly. I just keep putting new numbers in, updating the numbers, so it shouldn't be entirely new information. Yesterday, there were at least 7 911 proposals on ballots around the state that I'm aware of. All 7 passed. Some were millage, some were surcharge, and I don't know what the answer is. I wish we just had some unlimited money tree somewhere, but we don't. And the truth is, the bottom line is, we need equipment in 911. Do people want to pay for it? I don't know. I hope so. When I look at my tax bill, I fund township officers and pay millage for that, and other things that are important to me. And although the county does fund certain levels of public safety, there are other situations where people are willing to pay more for what they really want, what they feel is sufficient. And I'm hoping that's the case.
Commissioner Lemkool, then Dr. Lathrop.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve to go out for a millage, or for a surcharge amount of $1.85 and put it on the ballot in November.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Lemkool, supported by Commissioner Thomas. Discussion. Dr. Lathrop.
Let's see, but how, if we do have this public hearing, that'll be on Monday at 9 o'clock, and we make the decision then?
We haven't decided.
We haven't
that.
decided.
Okay.
If we pass this motion, we don't have to hold a public hearing.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd rather have the public hearing as a part of the motion.
I guess what I want to ask is, ask this board.
Dr. Lathrop has the floor.
Okay, I want to ask this board, because I need to be taught this, I'm not being contrary. Why are we afraid of asking the public their opinion on this matter? Why are we reluctant to do that?
There's no saying no.
Well, okay, I mean, but...
Let's do it. You're right.
I mean, no, I'm not pushing it, I just want to know, everyone's like afraid to do this. Why are we reluctant to do that?
Let's do it. You're right.
I mean, I'm not pushing it, I just want to know, everyone's like afraid to do this. I just want to know, everyone's like afraid to do this. I just want to know, it's an important issue, why can't we ask them?
I'm not afraid to do it, but I want a detailed package. This is just me. I want to see what I'm spending my money on if I'm going to vote for this. And just saying we need money because our expenses outweigh our revenues, to me, I understand, Jamel. I know you need equipment, but I just don't think what I have in front of me is enough for me to say yes tonight. But hey, I'm one of 7.
And they would have that information. It's, what we have here tonight is not public education. You have a lot of background about 911 and funding, so.
Okay. Any other commissioner comments? We have a motion on the floor. Commissioner Inman.
Unless there's a friendly amendment to hold a public hearing on the 11th, I'll be voting no.
Make a friendly amendment.
If the chair would allow, I will make the friendly amendment.
And if
to
the
add-
motion maker and the motion supporter are okay with
To
that?
agree to have a public hearing on this matter.
All right.
Monday.
We have a friendly amendment.
On the 11th at 9 a.m.
All right. Any further comments or discussion? All those, Commissioner Wheelock?
I guess the comment that I have is, what are you doing the public hearing for? If you want to ask the opinion of the public, you're going to ask the opinion of the public in November. They're going to tell you whether they support it or they don't support it.
It's true.
If you hold a public hearing here at 9 o'clock next Monday morning, if you get 6 people in this room, I'm going to be amazed. We got 12 to 14% to come to the ballot yesterday. If we're thinking that we're going to hold a public hearing and get a cross-section of our community to help us make this decision, it's not going to happen. As far as I'm concerned, if you're going to put it on the ballot and you think the right thing to do is to put it on the ballot and ask the people, and we have from now until November to educate the people as to specifically what we need the money for and why we need it and what kind of equipment needs to be replaced, what kind of staffing levels we need to achieve, that's fine. Then vote to put it on the ballot, and we will educate the public between now and then. But to hold a public hearing next Monday at 9 o'clock is absolutely a waste of time in my mind.
Okay. Commissioner Inman.
Well, there is another side of this, and that is the press will pick this up, the media will pick this up. It will be in the front page of probably tomorrow's newspaper the next day. It will be talked about on radio. It'll be picked up by all the news networks about this issue, likely. And if we don't hear anything from the public, they don't dial their county commissioner through the weekend, and they don't show up to the public hearing, then I'm fine with passing this thing. If I get home and I get buried with phone calls Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and people show up here on Monday, then I might have a different feeling about it. So that's why I'm saying let's just give this a time, at least a notice time, a period of notice.
We have a motion on the floor with a friendly amendment to have a public hearing regarding adding a surcharge to the November ballot. Dr. Lathrop, I'm going to take your comment, and then I'm going to call the question.
Okay. I agree with Sonny, but it doesn't hurt to have the public hearing. He's probably going to be right. Nobody shows up, and won't take any of our time. Or maybe it takes half hour of our time. But at least we try to do the right thing.
Okay.
Right, that's my opinion.
One more question.
All right.
Civil counsel,
Yes.
about the meeting itself. Would it be a special board meeting? Would it be
Yeah, it'd
another?
be a special board meeting.
Okay. Notice requirements to the public? Can we fit that in? We got 18 hours
18 hours notice, yeah.
for special board meetings?
Now,
Has
let
to
me
be
pull
on
up the
Friday.
board rules.
It's got to be out by Friday? So we can get it out tomorrow. That's not a problem.
Let me just double check that, though.
Okay.
We'll give our prosecutor, our civil counsel, a moment.
May have to be out Thursday, because is that 18-hour business time, business hours?
No, I think it's
18
just,
hours.
Open Meetings Act, it's 18 hours. It doesn't say
Right.
business hours, but let
But
me just
special
check
board
the-
meetings are different.
Yeah.
there's another statute involved.
All right.
6 days. 6 days can't. You can hold a public hearing though.
I think you'll find that you can hold it at a shorter time period if there's an emergency, county emergency. Otherwise, it's 18 hours.
It is, just looking at the rule 2.8, which talks about special meetings, it does say at least 18 hours prior to the meeting. It doesn't
Okay.
say 18 business
Okay.
hours.
All right, Jackie, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Rennie?
No.
Lemkool?
Yep.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Inman?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes.
Chairman Max Bauer?
No. Motion passes. All right.
Just a note, there won't be enough time to advertise this in the newspaper, but we can get it out, we can post it. We can probably let the press know.
You
We can
get
put
an
it on
ad
our
in-
Facebook
You
page,
can get
too.
an ad tomorrow.
You
in
can put it
Friday's
on the
paper.
website. Chris Kramer says we won't have time to get it, once you get the publications to request, a notice of public hearing in the newspaper. There's like a 3-day notice, they won't publish it within that time
I
frame.
think you can hit Sunday's paper on that.
We'll see.
Okay. We're going to
We'll
move
do what
on.
we can.
This is our second opportunity for public comment.
Thank you.
All right. All right. You want to make public comment?
Elisa Kropa, citizen, Garfield Township. 911, big decision. I urge you hesitance in putting this on the ballot. I know if I was sitting in your seat, I wouldn't. It's not about the department or the department head or anything. It's about being stewards of money that's not ours and asking people to purchase something. And what I'm not certain about is we know that this department needs money, but we don't know why. We haven't had time to look over the books and see how it's managed and how they've managed the money so far, and if cuts could be made that would open up funds that we wouldn't need to ask the citizens to pay for. So, just a thought from a taxpayer and a phone owner. Just think about that. Monday, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Committee reports. Do we have any? I have to report on your desk that the Senior Center Network has done a survey, and they've put together a lovely brochure telling you about the Senior Center Network and what the participants in the network think of the service. And I just want to call your attention to that. And I think that's all I've got. Anybody else have anything? All right. Any notices and/or announcements? Seeing none, we have a closed session to go in.
Madam Chairman, I would move to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing labor negotiations. Do we expect a decision coming out, David?
No.
Is there support?
A decision will
Second.
not be made coming out.
Moved by Commissioner Wheelock, supported by Commissioner Inman, to go into closed session to discuss labor negotiations. Roll call, Jackie, please.
Commissioner Rennie?
Yeah.
Lemkool?
Yep.
Lathrop?
Say yes.
Lathrop?
Lathrop?
Dr. Lathrop?
Yes.
Hello?
Inman? Inman?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Thomas? Chairman Max Bauer?
Yes.
I guess we're going to skip the formalities tonight.
I guess so.
For the consent calendar.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Wheelock, supported by Commissioner Inman to come out of closed session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same.
Madam
Motion
Chairman,
carries.
motion to adjourn.
Support.
All right, we're out of here.
Okay. No.